Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Spawn and Possession titled Where Angels Go, Demons Follow. And if we switch over to here, I believe it is off the album titled Incurso. This is kind of like a record of its time. I think this was uploaded 13 years ago, so I apologize to 4080p. I could find a H quality version, but I think that I'll be able to sort of understand the gist of it. I just prefer to go off with the Relapse Records where I think they might still be signed. If they're not, I'm not sure how that works. This was recommended anyways to me by Cam Gaming 3773. They initially wanted me to check out Evangelist. It's over the 7-minute length, but so this is just within that 7 minutes. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I'm going to listen through this track from start to finish. I'm going to hear what we think. What do we got? Let's go. Let's do it. I wonder if Cam Gaming recommended this, understanding that I like this kind of stuff. Because I do. It's absolutely ridiculous. I love that change of tempo. Creating some padding there. Great trade-off to a solo. I feel like I'm having conniptions. I just want to go back and revisit this part. I'm sorry for pausing, but I just this music is so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. It's a good thing, This music, there's just so much to, but I kind of need to pause in the middle to kind of collect myself. Just want to appreciate this harmony here and how they go trade back and forth. What is this? Was that it? Sorry, that was probably loud in the mic. Was that it? That's crazy. I did enjoy it, but it was incredibly intense, and we're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. You guys, welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Spawn of Possession, titled Where Angels Go, Demons Follow. Now, I want to thank Cam Gaming 3773 for this request, primarily because this is some of the heaviest stuff I've heard in quite a while, and I feel like I'm out of practice. And in this section, we're going to talk about a few, as an overall song analysis, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my overall thoughts on it from just a general listening perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? If I'm honest with you, I'm not quite sure. I know that it comes par and parcel with this type of vocal style. I didn't get all the words through clearly. It was clear enough and produced well enough and performed technically well enough that if I wanted to, I could probably have a few listens through it and kind of get the nuance of it. It's not a comment on like a failing of the vocalist to communicate, like with either the sort of like the harmonized kind of growls or shrieks or like the main sort of like vocal parts. It's furious, it's vicious. There's just so much to pay attention to that it's almost like, where do I go with this? And I love it. I love it so much. I think if I was to take a guess, there's like mentions of like a celebration in some parts and how things will be. And so I'm kind of wondering whether, when they say where the angels go, demons follow, it's more the actions of the angels. And maybe the demons have to go there in order to put an end to things. And maybe the celebration is the demons putting an end to things. I'm not sure. Maybe people are celebrating what the angels do and the demons are sort of jealous of that and they come in to sort of like kind of mess around with it. It does seem like the sound of a new era though. I want to know the lore. So I think I might go look for lyrics in this moment in time. If you know what this track is about, feel free to fill me in. Again, the words didn't come through clear, I think partly because of just the amount going on, the overall intensity and intricacy of it from a performance and sort of like general audio perspective. But I thought that the actual style of vocals was really cool. Like I can tell they've got really good quality technique going on there to be able to kind of get that guttural tone there, and to be able to keep it consistently with similar dynamics, to be able to sort of like do that and not wreck your chords is highly respectable. And I think that it's just when you've got good technique with this one, you can just keep doing that. Even if it sounds harsh or abrasive, you can just keep doing that style. And you need to know what you're doing in order to be able to maintain that health of your chords, your vocal cords. And I think that aggression within that is intrinsic to maybe what we're discussing there with the angels and the demons and stuff like that. The kind of fury, the venomous nature of it. I think that either we're ironically celebrating things or we're talking about the atrocity that's about to occur. And either way, I think it's just well handled there. And I think we do have some upper and lower range stuff going on that kind of layers neatly between each other, and it adds range there in a space where we don't have vocal melodies. We're not singing here. It's that kind of vocal frying, growls and kind of shrieks and kind of harsher stuff going on. And I think that that's good to have that range there to keep it interesting, despite the profuse amount of interesting stuff going on musically. This track is 5 minutes 43, and there is absolutely no letting up really at any point. It's just so much to absorb. It's like trying to understand the deep sea scrolls on a first sitting. I love that it's just non-stop. It is non-stop. You're thrown into the blender and you're being bashed out of, and it's just so heavy, but not in a way where it's like slow and lumbering. It's kind of smashing your head in with drop tuned power chords and chugs and zeros. It's this kind of technical death metal that's going on here, and it's just incredibly proficient from an actual guitar perspective as well as a drum and bass. Like there was even a little bass solo there at one point that was really cool. It was just, oh, it's got its own time to shine there, and a little bit of a gap before things go full bore again. I think that we had several tempos with varying time signatures, and the drums were playing their quarters and eighths, mostly eighths, definitely 16ths, probably 30 seconds. Just the speed of the kind of machine gun double kicks there, the blast beats as well. Just the way things are proportioned is overwhelming. And I think that is not just done from just an instrumental pushing the limits and boundaries perspective, but also maybe to infer a sense of what the track is about as well. And you've got these guitars as well on the sides that are just so wonderful with the way that they do this alt string kind of palm muted with the hammer-ons and pull-offs, and we have this incredible sort of harmonized solo sections there where the guitars kind of feed off each other and do cool responses, or roll ascending and descending down sort of scales and arpeggios there. And we like have modulations of certain parts as well there where the idea we have is moved up like a step or something like that, and it's the vocals have a similar kind of texture and timbre to them, so they're in the same way as the drums are kind of reliable there, but you get that range from the guitars. And we have these kind of, and we clearly have a minor leaning, but there's like diminished and flat thirds and sort of like flat fifths and sort of Phrygians and Locrian modes going on and stuff like that, as well as the power chords and more sort of straightforward harmonic elements. We don't really stick with chords, extended chords. It's mostly kind of split into the notes and you get a feel for what's going on there. And you go on these roller coaster adventures with like lead lines up, and then like there'll be some guitar they're together for a moment and then suddenly someone's doing something different. And it just takes a lot of both chemistry from an actual band perspective to be able to pull that stuff off. Like it's not an easy thing to be able to say, hey, we're gonna have this solo together and we're gonna both do some kind of stuff in the upper ranges, but then also you're just gonna just go off at this own point here and do your thing, but then we're gonna come back to this, and also we're gonna go down 10 BPM and kind of still have a similar speed, except we're gonna switch from 30 seconds to 16 triplets or something like that on the double kicks, and the fills as well. Like there were lots of snare and tom fills, and there were snare fills and rolls and stuff like that in the middle of beats as well. And it's like a divine feast. And so the heaviness that I discuss with the understanding that the bass is keeping power and speed, it is supportive for most of it. It's not trying to be as zany as the guitar parts or the drum parts. There is a body and a kind of a floor that's put forward, aside from like in parts like the little bass solo that we had in the mid-range. But like the heaviness comes from the power behind it, the speed of things, how much it's pushing at you, how relentless it is, just how pushed things are from an actual production perspective as well. And at the start, it has the audacity to kind of be measured for a moment, and then it just goes bang into it. It just smashes the heck out of you. It's just a moment where, if you're familiar with Spawner Position, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, they're taking a coffee break for 9 seconds and then smack into it. And like, I like that occasionally as well, you just have chung, you know, like you just have the a moment of respite and then smack back into it. Like they're just so attentive to when they need to have that little break there. I imagine you would be exhausted going after one of their gigs, but in the best possible way. The reason I like music like this, and this is sort of from a thematic perspective, is that it is an adventure. If you in this genre where you might not know what the lyrics mean, you need the music to do the heavy lifting if you can't get the story from it. The story, if you understand the lyrics or the vocals, is the icing on the cake. But like, when it all comes together, it's exemplary. When you just have the music, you're just thrown into this environment, this atmosphere that's incredibly harsh, but because it's so active and charismatic, you can't help but following along with it. You either swim with it or you get drowned under the tides. And I think that just thematically, a lot of the main sort of ideas are more sort of chapter based, where we have a certain chord progression or bass line or drum part for a certain kind of like vocal part there. And I think a lot of the power comes from maybe tying them together, but there's this overall kind of, again, minorish kind of key leaning, which kind of infers at the very least that things are not ideal. More so that things are about to become much, much worse, that something incredibly like dangerous has occurred and you need to be aware of it. But I think there's less of a focus on trying to sort of set a mood, again, with a chord progression or a bass line or a melody. Like, things fluctuate, and I love, again, when we go into the upper register of the guitars as well, because they're just gorgeous. Some of the major minor sort of like intervals we use with those solos are just tremendous. And we are again, it's wonderful with our actual guitar playing as well. And there's also two different things you can pay attention to a lot of the time. You can go to the left or you can switch to the right. You're spoiled from a listener's perspective. Studio production wise, oh man, and that's the thing that kind of ties it all together, is the fact that you've got all this crazy stuff going on with the guitars, the bass, the drums, and the vocals, but it makes sense. And I've just realized that I'm going to have to play this guitar riff in order to be able to do this intro. Shit. But I love just how neatly the guitars, the bass, the drums, and vocals are niched within the frequency spectrum and the stereo field. The guitars on either side are not always symmetrical, so they kind of go in different places. The drums have their different components scattered around as well, so different cymbals sound different places. The kicks and the snares are wonderfully compacted, and they're like compressed, but not in the way where it removes the dynamic range. It's just a full force, full bore. You can't necessarily sidechain too aggressively in the genre, because otherwise it will just be kicks. So I think that the way we allow for a bit of, like, not dynamic range from a production perspective, just because it's loud most of the time, but just the moment compositionally where there is space, you appreciate it. But you also enjoy the push, the way it kind of, because it does pump, it blows, it just goes against the limiter, the ceiling there. It is nice and loud without pumping, and it's done the way where it makes sense for the subject matter and genre and in its style of music. And the fact that you can hear the vocals in the different styles over the track with everything else going on is testament to their ability to record and do the kind of like that side of things really well in post. There's no applicable constructive critique for this one. I'm sold on it. I think they're wonderful musicians. And from a general listener's perspective, again, it's been a while since I listened to music like this. I feel like this is more of an experience rather than a learning opportunity for me. I feel like if you were to listen through this album, it's either because you're really upset and you just want to transfer that aggression towards like listening to something, so you want that kind of relate to the force or the power behind it, or maybe you want to listen to something that's just new or exciting or different, or maybe you just like the music regardless. There's various reasons to listen to this kind of music. Regardless, I think even if you feel this is too much, it's still important to respect the work put in by the people involved here from a musicality perspective, because I just adore the work they've put in to become as good as they are at this. It's very difficult to do this, but they smashed it, and I love it. So thank you very much for watching my review. Honestly, this is they're virtuosic, a lot of them. Thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named Spawn in Possession, titled Where Angels Go, Demons Follow, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias, YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB reviews. Spiderhands out.